For over 130 years, one name has haunted the blood-soaked alleys of Victorian London. Jack the Ripper, a ghost, a monster, a mystery carved in flesh and fear. That is, until now. In 2025, a claim exploded across headlines. The Ripper had been identified, not by a confession, not by a deathbed letter, but by a piece of fabric, a faded shawl soaked in blood and DNA. And it all pointed to one man, a troubled Polish barber named Aaron Kosminski. But is this really the final answer to one of history's greatest mysteries? Or are we rushing to name a ghost before the truth is fully known? Let's unravel the evidence, the backlash, and the terrifying implications of what may be the most controversial breakthrough in true crime history. Fall 1888, Whitechapel, a slum at the edge of the British Empire's glittering crown. The gas lamps flicker, the alleys reek of soot, sewage, and something worse. Then the bodies began appearing, one by one. 5 in total, each woman savagely murdered. Annie Mary, Ann Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Annie Eddowes, and Annie Jane Kelly. Known today as the Canonical Five, their deaths weren't random. They were ritualistic, almost surgical. Organs removed, bodies displayed. Each attack colder, more precise. London panicked. The press gave him a name, Jack the Ripper. They printed the chilling letters, some soaked in red ink, others accompanied by human remains. Whether real or fake didn't matter. Fear spread like wildfire. Even Queen Victoria intervened, urging authorities to catch this fiend. Despite stakeouts, arrests, and sketches of top-hatted suspects lurking in the fog, Jack vanished. No more letters, no more bodies, just silence. The myth was born, a shadow on cobblestones, a monster without a face. But what if Jack the Ripper didn't disappear? What if he was hiding in plain sight, in the fog, the filth, the fear? Aaron Kosminski arrived in London in the early 1880s, a Jewish immigrant fleeing anti-Semitic violence in Poland. He settled in Whitechapel, worked as a barber, and lived within walking distance of all 5 murder sites. To neighbors, he was odd, quiet, disturbed. To police, suspicious. In 1894, a secret police memo named Aaron Kosminski as a top suspect. It described him as mentally unstable, with a deep hatred of women and strong homicidal tendencies. But the police had no proof, no fingerprints, no blood testing, no cameras, just suspicion. Kosminski's mental health deteriorated rapidly. He was soon committed to an asylum after threatening his sister with a knife and hallucinating violent scenes. He died in 1919, untried, unproven, and almost forgotten, until a single piece of cloth, buried in a box for over a century, dragged him back into the spotlight. In 2007, author Russell Edwards bought a strange item at auction, an old shawl said to have been found near Catherine Eddowes, the Ripper's 4th victim. According to family lore, a police sergeant had taken it from the crime scene in 1888. His wife refused the gruesome gift, and the shawl was passed down as a grim heirloom. Edwards believed it might still carry forensic evidence. He handed it to a molecular biologist, Dr. Jari Lohelainen, for DNA testing. Under ultraviolet light and electron microscopes, they found bloodstains consistent with Eddowes' medical history, including kidney disease, semen traces containing mitochondrial DNA, a type of genetic material passed from mother to child. That DNA was matched to a living descendant of Aaron Kosminski's sister. It was the first time a suspect had been linked by DNA to a Ripper crime scene. By 2019, these results were published in a forensic journal. By 2025, the case exploded. Jack the Ripper identified, screamed the headlines. Podcasts, Netflix specials, hashtags like Kosminski confirmed trended for weeks. Edwards called it the end of the mystery, but others weren't so sure. Mitochondrial DNA is powerful, but not perfect. It doesn't identify one person, it identifies a maternal bloodline. In Victorian London, thousands could have shared Kosminski's mitochondrial DNA. And then there's the shawl itself. It was never recorded in official police files. There's no documented proof it was ever at the crime scene. And for over 130 years, it passed through families, collectors, and auction houses with no forensic chain of custody. Scientists began pushing back, hard. Identify Richard III's bones called the shawl's history anecdotal at best. October Parson, a top forensic expert, dismissed the study as unpublishable nonsense. In 2024, the Journal of Forensic Sciences issued an expression of concern, saying raw data was missing and the results couldn't be replicated. To make matters worse, reports surfaced that the shawl had been handled barehanded by dozens over the decades, a contamination nightmare. And yet, Edwards stood firm. He claimed the shawl had been stored under safe conditions. He argued the DNA match plus Kosminski's profile made the case airtight. So who's right? By 2025, the debate wasn't just scientific. It was deeply human. Descendants of victim Catherine Eddowes stepped forward. "We don't want revenge," one told CBS. "We just want the truth." Their plea sparked calls for a formal inquest, not to punish Kosminski as long dead, but to officially acknowledge him as the Ripper. A petition demanding recognition reached tens of thousands of signatures in days. Even some Whitechapel tour guides began referencing Kosminski by name. But backlash came swiftly. Critics warned, what if this is the wrong man? What if we're condemning a mentally ill asylum patient based on shaky science? Branding Kosminski without ironclad proof could rewrite history for the wrong reasons. It could also vilify someone who, while disturbed, may have been innocent. It's one thing to solve a mystery. It's another to weaponize it against the dead. Aaron Kosminski isn't the only name carved into this mystery. Ferrudgo John Druitt, a troubled barrister who drowned himself just after the final murder. Formance Tumblety, an American quack doctor with a known hatred of women, and a creepy collection of preserved uteruses. Michael Ostrog, a violent criminal with a checkered past, but questionable presence in London. Even Prince Albert Victor, Queen Victoria's grandson, has been dragged into royal conspiracy theories. Each theory has its advocates. Each one, just like Kosminski, has glaring holes. Some experts now believe the canonical five weren't all killed by the same man, that Elizabeth Stride, who wasn't mutilated like the others, may have been a separate case. If true, the Ripper wasn't one man. He was a myth, a fusion of multiple shadows under one terrifying name. So what if they're wrong? What if this isn't the truth, but a story that simply feels true? Misidentifying Jack the Ripper isn't just an academic error. It's a moral failure. It risks condemning a mentally ill man who never got a trial. It distorts the pain of real victims, and it turns science into spectacle. Worse still, it undermines trust in forensic methods, in historical research, in the slow, painful process of truth-finding. Sometimes, the desire for closure becomes so loud, we silence our doubts. Jack the Ripper was never just a man. He was a mirror, reflecting the poverty, misogyny, fear, and failures of his time, and maybe of ours. Giving him a name doesn't erase what allowed him to thrive. It doesn't heal the wounds carved into Whitechapel's fog. It doesn't bring justice to the 5 women who died screaming in the dark. So maybe we're not meant to know. Maybe the myth lives on not because it's unsolved, but because it refuses to be solved. And maybe that's the real horror. Do you think Aaron Kosminski was truly Jack the Ripper? Or are we still chasing shadows in the fog? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell because we've got more twisted mysteries and dark histories coming your way. Until then, stay curious, stay skeptical, and remember, not all monsters stay in the past.